ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखं नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीम् ओम Page 9, the bottom line, Paramapurushartha Bhuta Nasti Karmanam Chitta Shuddhidvara Jnana Bahirangattvamiti Tadidamaha Chittasyeti. So in the last session, we were looking at verse number 10 and we had just completed the commentary by Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswami. And essentially in that verse, Acharya Shankara Bhagavatpada had said that in order to free oneself from the bondage of samsara, bhava bandha vimuktage, one has to do Atma Vichara. And that Atma Vichara was indicated by the word Atma Abhyasam. And that Atma Abhyasam has to be performed by an individual who is a Shastragyan, one who has studied the scriptures, who has studied the Jnana Kanda, and therefore has an indirect knowledge of Brahman. And when such an individual, who is a Shastragya, a Pandita, as was said in the verse, also happens to be a Dhira, meaning one who has control over his mind and senses, and is a Jitendriya, such an individual, when he performs inquiry, then he will be able to free oneself from the bondage of samsara. This much we had seen, and the commentary provided a whole plethora of scriptural quotations to support this view. And now, in the last few lines of the Bhashya, the commentary to this verse, Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal is providing the introduction to the next verse. So essentially here Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal is saying that the jnana is the primary means to moksha, that karma is an external or a bahiranga sadhanam to jnana. It is not a direct means, it's an indirect means to moksha, because it provides the purity of mind that is necessary for jnana. That is, karma plays a role in moksha, but it is not a direct role, it is an indirect role, and therefore it's a bahiranga sadhana. Unless one comes to jnana, unless one has the direct knowledge of the self, moksha is impossible. So if one were to simply do karma throughout the life, get a very, very pure mind, that is not in and as of itself sufficient to release oneself from the bondage of samsara. Because that subtle ignorance will still remain, the subtle notion of the ego will still remain. And as long as the ego remains and the identification with the body remains, even if the mind is very, very calm and peaceful, it is still going to be trapped in samsara. One may have accrued a great deal of punya as a result of all these karmas. One may have a very nice life, but such a nice life is also going to be finite. And when the punya is exhausted, one is going to come back and continue in the cycle of samsara. And to escape that cycle, it's only possible through jnana. So that is the import of all Advaita scripture. And that is the introduction to the next verse also, which we will read, verse number 11. Chittasya shuddheye karma natu vastupalabdhage vastu siddhir vicharena na kinchit karma kotivihi. So this is a very famous verse. It's often quoted. Chittasya shuddheye karma. Essentially, the purpose of karma, and here by the word karma, what is meant is karma yoga. It is one is performing karma with uh, an aim not of getting the benefits of karma, but one is performing it because it is one's duty. So one is doing it without having a desire for the results that will accrue from that action, but one is doing the action for action's sake. One is doing it as a dedication to Ishvara. And when one receives the results of those actions, one does not constantly look for a better result. One is simply accepting whatever result comes from it. And therefore, as a bhokta also, one is not tied up to achieving a great result. One simply accepts whatever comes one's way, but one is very sincere about the performance of one's duties. So that is the general understanding or definition of Karma Yoga. And by saying Chittasya Shuddhaye Karma, it is such a Karma Yoga that will lead to Chitta Shuddhi or purity of the mind. If one performs actions not with such an attitude, but with an attitude of let me get some benefit from this, what is in it for me, then such a action will not lead to a purity of mind. It may give the right results in terms of material results or etc. Or even punyam, swargaloka, etc. It may give you, but such a result is not going to lead to the purity of mind that is required, and that is only possible if one performs karma yoga. However, even such a karma yoga is not going to lead to moksha, natu vastu palabdhaye. Here by vastu, what we mean is moksha or Brahman. So, if we don't know French, for example, if you're ignorant of French, how do we get rid of that ignorance? To get rid of ignorance of French, I have to have the knowledge of French. And only that is going to help me. No amount of karma, if I were to do Vishnu Sahasranama Parayanam, will I understand French? No, I have to go and study French. Similarly, if the cause of samsara is ignorance of who I am, what that self is, then the solution to it is not the performance of karma and upasana, however exalted they may be. The solution to ignorance of the self is knowledge of the self. And therefore, Adi Shankaracharya here says, Chittasya Shuddhaye Karma Natu Vastu Palabdhaye. If your aim is moksha, then no amount of karma is going to get you moksha. We are not saying karma is useless. It has a use. It leads to Chitta Shuddhi, but directly and as of itself, it is insufficient to get to moksha. So, what is the means to moksha? Here, Acharya says, Vastu Siddhihi Vicharena. It is an inquiry into the self. It is the knowledge of the self that will lead to Vastu Siddhi or the attainment of moksha. No amount of karma is going to be sufficient. And what is that inquiry? That inquiry is Shravanam, listening to the scriptures from a guru, understanding what the guru has said, thinking about it. It is Maranam, solving all sorts of tricky questions and problems and doubts one may have on that teaching, convincing oneself that what that teaching is a fact, and then once that has been accepted as fact, abiding in that fact, nididhyasana, continuing to ruminate on that, transforming our personality in such a manner that one is in consonance with that teaching. One continues to encourage a thought process that is in consonance with the teaching and discourage a thought process that is incongruous with such a teaching. So, through that process of Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, which here has been referred to and condensed into one word called Vichara, Shankara Bhagavad Pada is saying that Vastu Siddhi is only possible through Vichara, and even if you were to do hundreds of thousands of crores of karma, it is not going to lead to that in the absence of this Atma Vichara. Nakinchit karma kotibihi. This meaning is very clearly understood. Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal simply says Spashtortaha. It is very clear what this shloka is saying. Moving on. How does that vichara lead to vastu palabdhi? That is what Acharya is saying next. Vicharasya vastu labdhi hetutvam drishtantena vishadayati samyagati. How that process of self-inquiry and knowledge lead to vastu upalabdhi or the attainment of moksha is being explained in the next verse through an example, a drishtanta. And the next verse starts with the words samyak. Samyak vicharatah siddha rajjutatvavadharana bhrantyodita mahasarpa bhavadukha vinashini. So Acharya is quoting a very famous example that is often mentioned in Advaita. So somebody is walking in semi-darkness. This example will only work if it is semi-darkness, that is, it is not completely bright, it's not completely dark also. So one is walking down that road and spots a rope. But because it is semi-darkness, he knows that something is there, It is coiled and on the ground, but it does not know what it is. This is why semi-darkness is important. If it is very bright, he will know it is a rope. If it is very dark, he will not even know that there's something there. So both situations are great. But it's when you have a partial knowledge, you don't completely understand it, but you have a partial knowledge. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So what does that do? So one is ignorant of the rope being present there. And what does that ignorance do? It does two things. The first thing it does is that it projects something else in the place of the rope. It makes us believe that there is an object there which is long and coiled. What else is long and coiled? A snake. So the first thing that the object, the ignorance does is that it convinces us that the object is a snake. Secondly, even if it had convinced that the object was a snake, we could have simply walked away. If we had known that it is simply an unreal snake, it won't cause a problem. Similar, just like when we are walking in a desert and we see a mirage water. Now, if we know what a mirage is and we know that it's a mirage water, there is no problem. But if you don't know that it is a mirage, then only there's a problem. That is, if you are not convinced of the unreality of the projection, that is when the problem comes. So the second job of ignorance after projection is to convince us that that unreal object is real. So it transfers the reality of the rope into the snake and says, oh God, there's a snake there. And because we are convinced it's a real snake there, that creates a whole bunch of problems. It creates fear, the person runs away from that. And as long as one is convinced of the reality of that snake, that fear will persist. So, when will that fear go away? It will go away when we have clearly perceived that the object in front of us is a rope. Once we have correctly reasoned that that object cannot be a snake, it let us observe it closely. Let us bring light and see what it is. That right enquiry into the nature of that thing reveals that the reality of that object is that it is not at all a snake. There never was a snake. Even when we were afraid that it was a snake, there was no real snake. There was no snake there at all. And once the light has come, it's very clearly apparent that there was no snake. So there's no snake in the past, in the present, or in the future. So once the clear knowledge has come, samyak vicharataha siddha, once we have determined through right inquiry what Rajjutattvavadharana, once we have the right knowledge that the object in front, the real object in front is a Rajju, is a rope. At that point, Bhrantyodita Mahasarpa Bhavadukha Vinashini. All the fear and the sorrow, the Bhavadukham, but Bhavadukham actually means Samsara Dukkham. He is comparing it with Samsara. He says, just like the fear and the delusion that was sorrow that was caused by the rope snake, Samsara Bhayam, Samsara Dukkham also, that was caused by us believing that the world is real and us not knowing the true nature of the self. All those delusions will be destroyed by the right enquiry into the object in question. In the example, the object in question is the rope. When right reasoning and inquiry has determined that the object in question in reality is really a rope, all the fear associated with the snake, the unreal snake which was a result of Bhranti or delusion, Bhrantyodita Mahasarpa, all the Bhavadukham or the sorrow and the fear that was created by that Mahasarpam, that great serpent, which is a result of delusion because we did not know what that object in front was, all that goes away once we have had the right knowledge of the rope. Similarly, all the sorrows that were present because of Bhrantyodita Bhavadukham, all the delusions that led to us believing that the Jagat is real and it is causing problems for us, that we have a real problem, it leads us to believe that we are really suffering. All suffering is unreal. Suffering is not at all a part of Atma. Anything apart from Atma is unreal. As long as that inquiry has not happened, one will continue to be in the delusion. But once with inquiry we have the right knowledge of the self, all the delusions that were born because of the ignorance of the self will be automatically destroyed. Just like when all the threads in the cloth, if you destroy, the cloth itself is destroyed. Correct? Similarly, when we destroy ignorance, all the products of ignorance also get destroyed. So when the cause is eliminated, the effects are eliminated. The cause of samsara is ignorance. Once that ignorance is eliminated, all the effects such as the problems associated with samsara will also be automatically eliminated. Let us read the commentary. मंदान्धकारे पतितां रज्जुं सर्पं मन्वानः पुरुषः बिभ्यते दीपानयनेन सम्यग् विचार्य वस्तुतत्त्वं बुद्ध्वा भयकम्पादिदुःखं जहाति इति प्रसिद्धम्. In mild darkness, in Mandandakaram, the rope which is present on the road is considered or mistaken to be a sarpa. And such an individual is fearful of that rope, and it leads to all sorts of problems. Bhaya kampadi dukkham, like fear. Bhaya kampa means like trembling, etc., and leads to such sorrows like that. And when does that problem go? It goes when you bring a lamp, deepa nayanena. So the samyak vichara here is bringing a light and seeing that thing clearly. And once you see the reality of what that object is, then all the fears that were created because of delusion, such as bhayakampadi dukkham, they all are removed. That is very well known. Iti prasiddham, Acharya says. Tatra rajvam bhrantya uditah yo mahasarpah. It says bhrantya, there's a typo there, it should say bhrantya. Tatra rajvam bhrantya uditah yo mahasarpah tad bhavam tad pratyajanyam yad dukkham tad vinashini samyak vicharajanya rajutattva vadhritihi. Tatra rajvam Bhrantya uditaha yo mahasarpaha. The great snake that appears because one is unaware of the presence of the rope, because of the ignorance of the rope, the great snake that appears, tad bhavam. Here, Jagadguru Srimad Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswamigal translates bhavam in the verse as pratyajanyam, that is, that which is born because of the cognition of the snake, the dukkham, the fear, etc. So, what does ignorance do? It leads to the appearance of the snake, it leads to the transference of reality to that snake, it leads to the fear, etc., which is born because one assumes that there is a real snake in front of us. So, those are the three things that ignorance does. And all those three are destroyed when one knows that the object that is in front really is a rope. Rajju Tattva Vadritihi, which is born because of the right inquiry into the nature of things. So one brings a lamp and looks at the object correctly, and that is what is being referred to as Samyak Vichara. And the Rajju Tattva Vadritihi, which is born from that Samyak Vichara, is Tad Vinashini, is the cause of the destruction of Dukkham, the Mahasarpa appearance, and the reality to that Mahasarpa appearance. Continuing, Tadvat Bhrantya Jatam Yad Bhavadukham Janma Marana Prayojya Dukkham Tad Vinashini Samyak Vichara Prayojya Tatvavadharana Atma Yathatmya Vadritihi Brahma Sakshatkara iti Sarvamshe Prakritopayogyatvam Yogyayam Drishtantaha. So similar to the rope snake example, the delusion of the world, Bhrantya Jatam Yad Bhavadukham, the sorrows associated with samsara, which is a creation of delusion really, such as birth, death, etc. And those are the kinds of things that are a result of that mistaken identification with anatma, which is a result of the ignorance of the self. The destroyer of that bhavadukham, samsara dukkham, is samyak vichara prayojya tatvavadharana atma yathatmya avadritihi. The correct knowledge of the self, which is born through atma abhyasa or inquiry into the self. That is being referred to here as tatvavadharana or the correct grasp of the reality of things. And what does that effectively mean? It means Brahma Sakshatkaraha, or the direct acceptance or cognition of oneself as Brahman. And therefore, he says, thus, the consonance between the Drishtanta and the Dashtanta, between the example and the exemplified, is it fits correctly in all respects. In all respects, the example of the rope snake fits with what we are trying to convey here, which is that it is the inquiry into the self, which is the means by which one can cross over the bhavadukham, or the problems associated with samsara. With that, we'll conclude this session and take up the rest in the next session. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः